And hello. Welcome back to the Gay Racing Podcast. Zack and Alex are here with you. I still messed up the intro this week. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow. So disappointed.
I'm off my game. I will do better next week. I'm sorry to our watchers on YouTube, but welcome back to the Gay Racing Podcast. Zack and Alex are back, but we're not alone this time. Our good friend, the president of Blaney Nation, joins us. Perfect week for it too. We have a lot of cool things to talk about with Brooke this week, and I have to say, the good news is it took until like July for us to have our first very uneventful weekend of racing. It took till July because the races this week very
standard.
We'll get into it. Pocono and IndyCar at Iowa, very straightforward, right? And of course, maybe some of the most boring. Maybe some people see Team Penske as a very boring team when they win races. They won all the races. So we'll talk more about Penske perfect, Penske dominance. We'll glaze them a little bit. But Brooke, welcome back to the podcast. We love having you on. I had the idea to have you on, by the way. Just putting
it was Zach's idea.
It was because I'm like, you know what? This is such a good Blaney win. I had and I guess we'll kind of get into it, NASCAR at Pocono. And I tweeted yesterday that this felt like such a normal win for Ryan Blaney. Like it wasn't like this is going to advance him into the playoff. This is snapping a winless streak. This is a big deal. Like, no, it was just a normal Ryan Blaney win. And I feel like it's one of his first. Like, what do you think about that, Brooke? Like,
it was definitely a time for a boring win.
Right.
I think because kind of when he started winning, he had a streak of just, I think of the 3 Talladega wins, the double of 7 and Roval, obviously. And then, but his first Pocono win was also kind of,
but it was like his first career win. So it's like, it's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
But this one for me just felt like, of course Ryan Blaney won. And I think, as Ryan Blaney became a champion last year, I feel like he doesn't get a lot of credit for how consistent he is, especially been this year, especially lately. And I think it's really good that this team just, another win, another 5 playoff points. That's going to help them later in the championship. They deserve to be in the conversation with Gibbs and Hendrick, and they just proved it yesterday, right? So.
Yep. And they really showed it with the strategy because this 12 team, they forfeited all their stage points yesterday. They were not going for the stage wins for those playoff points there. They were going for the big win for 5 points, and it paid off. They already have more playoff points than they did at this time a year ago. And if you forgot, he did win the championship last year. Brooke and I did not forget. Zach, you might have forgotten. Just a little reminder.
No, I'm traumatized by it, actually. In fact, I think sometimes I feel like y'all forget because y'all are like, oh, no one ever comes out of nowhere to win the championship. And I'm just like, Ryan Blaney last year, low-key came out of nowhere, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm sorry. That's very disrespectful in front of the president of Blaney Nation. I'm sorry. That was very disrespectful.
I think NBC likes to forget with not just NBC, but just kind of like NASCAR media in general.
I know. I heard about that this morning. Like
just how they just do not mention him or like praise him for anything. And at first I thought, okay, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just like my bias when I watch races. But like I'm in like a Blaney fan server on Discord and all of them are like anything. Come on, anything. And they think, but obviously we don't like Hendrick. So they're like, well, the 5 gets praised all the time for doing anything and he gets away with everything and this, that, the other. And this morning somebody was like, but I thought the 11, 9, and 5 were the best cars because somebody shared a tweet where he literally was like the fastest car all day. So, and somebody was like, I thought the 11 and the 9 and Bowman and everybody else was way faster. So it's kind of like our bit now, I guess. But yeah.
I mean, Hendrick and Gibbs are always going to be, the talk, right? Larson and Hamlin and their drivers, right?
Yeah.
And because I do feel like Ryan Blaney is, I mean, he's obviously rated very highly by fans, by people, who rate him on performance, but he's still just a little under that Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin kind of superstardom almost for some reason. And what does he have to do? He won a championship. So like, I don't know. What does he have? What does he have to do?
That's what I feel too.
Well, I think a lot of it is because he just wasn't closing out the wins for so long. And Brooke, when we had you on last year for the championship, the last 2 races of last year, we were talking about that. We have not seen a Blaney really close out races. This is a new Ryan Blaney late last year into now. And now he's doing that. He's not only winning and leading a lot of laps, but he's actually closing out these races and he's pulling them out. And I understand there's Gateway. That was a rough situation. But even if he won Gateway, think about that. That would be 3 wins on this season.
Yeah.
And that's really impressive. Like all the top names, the championship 4 favorites right now all have 3. Right.
Yeah. Very recent.
In a year where Ford has just kind of been lackluster, at least at the start. And we were saying Ford's only good on the short tracks, but this is Pocono. Like this is a huge track. And it's similar to the next week's track as well.
Like Ford's gotten really, if anything, I feel like I saw conversations yesterday, like outside of Hendrick, Chevy's kind of struggling.
Chevy did kind of fall off.
Yeah, like, and even some, like Byron, well, Byron had a good run yesterday. So again, it's just like outside of Hendrick, like Trackhouse, and obviously we see what's going on with RCR. And my theory obviously is with the new Ford and Toyota bodies, I think they finally kind of like figured them out. The honeymoon's over, the performance has shown up, and Chevy still has this old body that they can't really do much with. It's already figured out. They have no room to grow. So I think that's kind of showing a little bit with how much Ford's been winning races lately, mostly Team Penske, but RFK. I mean, Chris Buescher lit some laps yesterday, didn't he? Yeah. I mean, obviously strategy helped, but still, I mean, they've been running up front every now and then. So, yeah.
And to add on to this whole Gen 7 and the Ford and everything, I mean, Penske itself in this era of car, their best finish before yesterday was 20th at Pocono. Like, I would not have picked a Penske car to win yesterday. But at the same time, like you said, this felt like such a normal win for Blaney that I'm not surprised he won. But at the same time, the stats really show a different story. And I guess that kind of goes into what we've kind of been creeping toward here in this conversation. Could Ryan Blaney actually be a back-to-back champion? Because he's running better than he did last year right now at this point.
I mean, it's always weird because it's like, ask me in October, but he's definitely in your conversation for championship 4. Like you put him with, he has 2 wins. You put him with, and he could have had 3 wins. He should have won Gateway. So I feel like you have to throw him in that conversation with Bell, Larson, Hamlin. I like him more than Byron because Byron hasn't won since Martinsville in April.
Byron's been gone.
In NASCAR,
he's on vacation.
Right. In NASCAR, it's all about what have you done for me lately? The only concern is, are they peaking too soon? Right? Are they winning while everyone else is testing, like experimenting with setups or whatever? I don't know. I'm gay, but like that's my only concern. But I think this is looking pretty good for them, especially winning on a big track such as Indiana or Pocono, right?
And you win next week.
I'm just
Indy's
saying.
Next.
I think it would be a huge deal if Ryan Blaney is the guy that wins for the return of the Brickyard 400. Obviously, driving for Roger Penske, winning that race winning at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is a huge deal if you have Penske on your uniform. It's a huge deal, and for it to be Ryan Blaney, who's kind of like competing with Logano to be this kind of head Penske driver, the most successful Penske driver in recent times. Right, like at least in the past year or so, defending champion, obviously. That would be a huge deal if he can go out, get back-to-back wins, week back-to-back wins, and for it to be the Brickyard 400. That would be huge. I would love to see that. Not gonna lie.
Well, last time we had you on, Brooke, we talked about the master plan. And if you are a new listener or viewer, you might not know what that is. But last year we had you on, Brooke, and you talked about the master plan, and now your name on Twitter says Master Plan 2. What is the sequel? I mean, we're seeing it, obviously. What's going on with the Master Plan 2?
What's going on with the script?
What's cooking? Yeah.
Only J. Haas knows the real script, but I can say it's definitely cooking. It's cooking up every week, and we'll only see the sequel in Phoenix. That's it. That's the only... That's the only way. I can't even say.
I'll tell you what. You bring up J Haas, good old Jonathan Hassler.
J Haas.
Thank God for those cautions yesterday, because me and Alex were concerned about the fuel calculations for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of Blaney fans were like, "Oh, we didn't need this caution or stop the cautions or whatever." I'm like, guys, this helps us. Like, we don't even want to have to think about fuel after
the trauma we endured.
I can't even say it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So, but yeah, no, we're definitely thankful for J Haas, because I was watching him go to the pit both stages with like 2 laps to go when he was like in 5th and 3rd. I'm like, this better be worth it, because even if he had gotten like 2nd or 3rd, it would have been like, oh, we got 0 stage points just to get a top 5. So for his strategy to work out perfectly after a couple weeks of questionable strategies that did work out. Yeah. That did work out, but not because like it was a natural cycle. The race just turned insane those past couple weeks for it to work out. But J Haas definitely kind of saved the day. I think we were already going to have a good day, but he definitely kind of saved it and put us in position for it.
I totally agree. And let's shift gears now. Let's talk about someone who is not having a good day in Pocono, or any week, quite frankly. Corey LaJoie.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry to bring you on to talk about Corey LaJoie, Brooke. But
this was the turning point of the race, where it was just a very tame strategy race, and then we had a restart. Was this the very big? I don't know if this was the very beginning of stage 3, or it was maybe like the second of like 3 restarts. We had a lot of cautions at the beginning of stage 3.
Yeah, it was somewhere in there.
They were going, it's Pocono. It's a Pocono restart. It's very wide on the front stretch. They're trying to get all they can get. It's really hard to pass, so there's a lot of aggression. I get all of that. And Corey LaJoie makes a move on Kyle Busch, and Kyle goes to kind of like block it a little bit, as you do in stock car racing a little bit. And then Corey was really upset with that, and the 7 car veers right into the 8, spins the 8 out, and there is a huge pile up going into turn 1, because it's Pocono. There's not that much room in turn 1, especially when there's a car sliding up the racetrack. This was the controversial moment of yesterday's race. Probably the most interesting moment of yesterday's race, because again, not much happened. It's Pocono. There's a lot of different opinions out there on Corey LaJoie. I know what mine is. I don't know about y'all.
I know mine is.
I do too.
Here's the thing about Corey LaJoie, and I've said this many times. I don't know why he's in the Cup Series.
He's the only driver in the Cup Series who has not won in any of the top 3 NASCAR series.
Ever. Is he really? I guess so, yeah.
Oh my God.
Because even like...
In terms of full time, by the way.
In terms of full time. And it's like this... People rate him sometimes highly. Not yesterday. And I just don't know why. He's won a K&N race 10 years ago.
I think that's his most recent win in anything.
I guess that's cool. I just don't understand why this guy has a Cup ride, because he hasn't proven himself. And then he does something like this, right? Whereas, someone might compare it to John Hunter Nemechek, who also does really stupid things on the track sometimes. The difference is John Hunter Nemechek wins races, right? He's won 2 races in Xfinity this year. That's not easy. Those Xfinity guys are good. Justin Allgaier, Cole Custer, they're good race car drivers, right? This Corey LaJoie thing, I just don't... I don't know exactly what happened. The worst case scenario is that he got mad and intentionally, turned into Kyle Busch and wrecked him, right? The best case scenario is he had no idea what the hell he was doing with his car, right? He didn't know that the 8 car was going 5 wide. Bye, Brooke. I don't know where she went.
She's like, I don't want to talk about Corey LaJoie no more.
She said, this is enough of Corey LaJoie. Or did you just turn your camera off? Are you still here? Oh, there you are.
I don't know what happened. Sorry about that.
You're like, I'm gone.
Corey LaJoie doesn't know what happened either. Okay. See, he just, I don't think he could explain why.
Yes.
I just don't understand.
Corey LaJoie hacked the computer, guys.
Yep.
I don't think he has enough talent to wreck Kyle Busch on purpose. So I think that was just a complete accident by LaJoie, but like it was a dumb accident. You know what I mean? Like you shouldn't be coming up into the 8 car. Like your spotter should be telling you that you're 5 wide. It's kind of hard for the spotters to see in turn 1, I guess, but I don't know. I'm yapping
so
at this point.
My biggest thing is that this track has 3 corners, and Corey LaJoie still couldn't figure it out. There's one less corner at Pocono than any other track.
Alex.
And he still could not do
fair.
it.
That's
it's
not
supposed
fair.
to be easier.
No, that's not fair.
Easier, right?
Well, that's not fair because the 3 corners are very different. Maybe that's why he struggled yesterday. The 3 corners are very different
for him.
And some people argue that Pocono actually has 6 turns. Or some even say it has 5 turns.
No.
I'm not here for that kind of propaganda because that literally is insane. But like I don't know. That wreck yesterday in no way was Kyle Busch's fault.
Yeah, so 2 things. One, Corey LaJoie says it was not intentional, and then his crew chief got on the radio and said that Kyle Busch deserved it because, you know, you would just say normal things like that.
I'm sorry
and
you, Corey LaJoie.
2, I feel like this was kind of a turning point against Corey LaJoie. Like a lot of the media specifically are just kind of over it. Because I listened to the teardown with Jeff Gluck. He was saying this didn't look good. I watched Eric Estep's video. He's like, I really like Corey LaJoie, but this didn't look good. And
why would you like Corey LaJoie? I just don't get it. What has he done? Why do you like him?
Let me finish. And Taylor Kitchen also did a video about Corey LaJoie as well. And on top of that, even Jeff Burton, NBC was like...
On NBC, they were very critical.
It didn't look good. Just a few weeks ago, NBC was like hyping up Corey LaJoie's running 29th.
Like, well, they were embedded.
The tides have turned here. Yeah. Embedded. When they embedded into the second car.
And it was their first race with NBC, so we didn't know that was going to be like a weekly thing. And we're like, why are we watching him in 30th?
Yeah. At that point, I thought it was just like a special thing they were doing every week. I was like, oh no, this is bad. But thankfully it wasn't.
I want to give a shout out to my friend Junk Knuckles, aka Jim, on Twitter. He's at Lawnmower Pranks, for those of you that have the privilege of knowing him. He tweeted yesterday, "Hi, at Corey LaJoie. I'm not saying this as a joke or a bit. I'm not trying to troll you, and I don't say this with any anger or mean undertones, but please stop racing."
I mean, like, I feel like Corey LaJoie, like, because here's the thing about yesterday. I think everyone, Alex, as you were saying, this is the turning point. It's because he junked like 10 cars because of a stupid move, on purpose or not.
Including one of his teammates, by the way.
Yes, right. That was so... I mean, we've seen a lot of bad accidents at Pocono. You don't need to be doing that. Especially as you're Corey
especially
LaJoie.
turn 1.
You have everything to prove. You have nothing to fall back on, in my opinion. Apparently, other people disagree because Rodney Childers is going to be his crew chief next year.
See, and that is so puzzling to me. Because so first of all, I actually want to give Slay of the Week to Spire for pulling that off. Because I think this is a huge get for Spire, and they're obviously trying to grow. They have Michael McDowell going over there next year. They're trying to grow, but to put Rodney Childers with Corey LaJoie next year feels very contradictory. So at the same time, flop of the week to Spire Motorsports, because what?
You know how they could fix this?
What? How?
I saw a Photoshop this morning of Kyle Busch in a Gainbridge uniform.
I tweeted something saying they should do that. I'd like
Kyle
to see
Busch in
something.
the 7 would eat. I think he would do better than what he's doing at RCR. Kyle Busch with Rodney Childers, that would cook.
That's like Furniture Row 2 waiting to happen.
That's what Spire needs, right? I mean, they have Carson Hocevar, a rookie, right? I don't know if they're going to... Are they going to have 3 cars next year? I don't know if Zane Smith is going to go to track. So they are. Oh, Michael McDowell's
in the 71.
Okay, so Michael McDowell's a veteran, but still, like Kyle Busch as another veteran to help Carson and the whole team grow, that would be awesome. And I actually, again, I think he would do better than what he's doing at RCR right now. You know? I think, that would be cool. And I don't know. We've been hating on Corey LaJoie enough, but like I don't feel like it's undeserved.
No, it's not.
Again, he's the only NASCAR driver in the Cup Series where I'm just like, I don't know why you're here.
I think everybody is starting to kind of like come off of. I don't know why people like drivers like him, like these back markers either. Maybe I'm just a hater, but I don't get it. Like there's like a cult of personality around certain drivers just because like they're funny on Twitter or like he followed me and stuff like that. And I don't get it, but whatever. But I think after the past couple weeks, people are like starting to come down from that as far as he goes. Because up until that point, they're like, oh, give him a chance. Like, he's okay. Like, I like him or whatever. But the past couple weeks, it's been multiple incidents every race, or at least every race weekend.
He's always involved in some dumb moment.
So I think now people are like, okay, enough.
Yeah. And you can't afford to do that when you're Corey LaJoie and you have not won at a national level in NASCAR. And you just can't afford to do that, in my opinion.
Yep.
For the record, he's behind Carson Hocevar in points, who is a rookie and had a points penalty for intentionally wrecking someone. And Hocevar is still ahead of him in points. I believe Corey's 31st in points. And there's only 36 full-time?
I think there's only 31 full-time drivers. Or maybe now.
I said last night that I'm ready for the documentary to come out about the 7 Spire car being a pyramid scheme.
I'd watch. I'll watch.
I think he's a grifter. Somebody else said, why has Celsius not posted or tweeted anything about him all season? Because that's his sponsor.
Oh, that is one of their sponsors.
So
have they actually been on the 7 car though? I feel like they're only on college stuff.
I saw it on a. I don't know why I almost said poster. I saw a picture of him with it as on his fire suit, like as his.
He's
like,
in one of their ads too.
Yeah, I feel like they sponsored him at like not Daytona, but like maybe one race. I don't know.
Okay. Well,
I mean, he's not on TV.
I mean, they're still like one of his main sponsors, just
a
lot. So I don't know.
Speak of schemes, Brooke. It's not really a scheme, but
I don't know what.
Let's talk about. Let's talk about some people might call it a scheme.
He's taking it off the rails.
Yeah. So Pocono had a lot of traffic issues yesterday, and since you were going to be on, I felt this would be a great question to ask you. A lot of people did not get to attend the race yesterday. The race had sold out. People were still trying to get in. And I believe with like 50 laps to go, the traffic was still stalled trying to get in there. You have been there before. I'm just curious, what is the normal experience like to get in there? Is it usually a lot of traffic or what do you think?
I can't ever remember a time like when we had trouble getting in. Getting out is always a problem. But I feel like that's with any and every track. I don't know if there's a mainstream organized way that any track has a down pat, and if they do, please let me know or correct me, and then I'll try to go to that track. But but yeah, seeing yesterday, like it was like 50 laps to go and people are like still not at the track. I think that's awful, and I don't understand it, because I get that there was weather in the morning and they were apparently saying that it was a tornado warning too. I'm like 2.5 hours away from the track. It rained a little bit at my house, but it definitely wasn't that bad. And Bob was tweeting the radar and he's like, oh, the cell is right over the track or whatever. But Pocono put out a statement. They're like, there was severe weather this morning, so we had to put in place special procedures or whatever. This was in place for an hour. So they had special procedures and limitations in place at like 9 or 10 in the morning, lasting until maybe like lunchtime, noon. So it's like, but at like 5-6 o'clock, people are still lined up and can't get into the track. So it was kind of baffling to me, because I don't know if they've ever had an issue like that before. And I think they sold out last year too. So this wasn't like a first time thing where, they have a sold out crowd. They don't really know how to handle it, but they sold out last year. They had double headers a couple years ago, like around post-COVID era.
Facility, right?
It is. I mean, it's massive. So the track's massive. So, they got parking lots left and right and multiple different entrances and kind of multiple different back roads to get in and stuff like that. But I don't know if I've ever seen people post in the middle of the race when the race is about to be over too, still not at the track.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. And
I don't know if it were me, if I would be satisfied unless they offered me a full refund or they gave me free tickets to the race next year or something like that. So, whatever they come up with, hopefully they find a way to make all those people satisfied, because that's just, I don't know, that's really disappointing.
It kind of reminds me of, me and Alex had trouble leaving Indy. It took like 3 hours to get out of the track.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this is such a huge racetrack.
There was no
Obviously,
one working it.
the Indy 500, well, yeah, no one was working it. And the Indy 500 is a much bigger deal than the Yamama's bread 400 at Pocono. But
absolutely.
still, it's just, that's unacceptable for it to be a NASCAR Cup Series event to have that much. That's unacceptable. People couldn't get into the track to watch your race. You can't have that happen. So I feel, and I saw a tweet from, I forgot who it was. They got sideswiped by a motorcycle while sitting.
I saw that too. Yeah, somebody retweeted it, and I was confused at first, and then I read it, and they're like, oh, and then they tried to turn around or whatever. It was just a disaster on all fronts. Yeah. And I've been up there when the weather situation has been bad all day. I'm not trying to minimize a tornado or anything like that, but I was at the fog race. I was there when they thought the race might have to go to Tuesday. I don't even know if that was the same year as the fog race, but whatever. But this is all just to say it's not like they're unfamiliar with bad weather. It's not like that this is a race in California or Texas or something like that where it's perfect weather 95% of the time. So I don't know, unless there's probably new management maybe at the track now, or maybe people are coming and going that aren't familiar with types of procedures, but it's just disappointing. That's all really you could say about it.
It's always a new management. New management ruined one of my favorite Mexican restaurants in my town. Not the same.
No.
Damn it, new management. Just
how will we go
ruining
on?
Everything. It ruins everything. It really does.
Yep. It really does.
Gosh. Speaking of, I just had this crazy thought. Rain tires at Pocono. I think it could work. It's flat enough.
That's too big of a track. They're going too fast on that straightaway.
No. Oh, they're going too fast.
No.
Let's have you test them, Zach. Let's see what happens.
Okay. I do enough iRacing. I'll be fine.
Dreamy Zack Racing test car.
Gay racing podcast. It's gonna look great when it's in the turn 2 wall.
Yeah, it'll look amazing in the turn 2 wall.
That would go
turn
well
1.
Oh my gosh. Are we ready to talk about the playoff cutoff?
Yeah, let's take a look at the playoffs.
All right. If I can get my mouse to work. There you go. So I like this time of year talking about the playoff cutoff every week, and it definitely got a lot more interesting after Ross Chastain DNF'd yesterday. What happened? He slapped the wall off turn 3, and then he went all the way down the front straightaway. And then when he got to turn 1, I think he realized that, either his tire was going down or, I can't make this corner. And then he just hits the wall again. So he wrecked 3 times, but he did not finish the race yesterday. Bubba Wallace made up a lot of ground. Because he was 50 points out, right?
Bubba Wallace had an awful race car yesterday. He was running in the mid 20s all day. For him to get a top 10, it's a huge. I think he went in, Zach, minus 53 or something. So
he
now
did
it's
turn
minus
it
27.
around.
So he cut that gap in half, which is a huge deal. Because and they were talking about it on NBC. It's making up a 55-point gap is not really possible unless stuff like this happens.
Mm.
Yep.
And we talked a little bit earlier about kind of Trackhouse struggling, not being as consistent. Toyota looked really good yesterday. All of the Toyotas looked really good yesterday. Maybe not Bubba Wallace, but they still got a good result out of it. So this is setting up pretty well for Bubba Wallace. If they can execute and avoid bad luck, they might, and obviously no new winners. I think they can jump the cut line.
Yeah, and with Chastain kind of just not performing to what you would expect, as we talked about earlier, Chevrolet kind of on a decline at the moment. I'd say it's possible for sure. And you look at the rest of this, I think Truex is solidly, and we have 4 races to go, and we'd have to have 4 different winners that haven't won yet in order to get 16 winners. I don't see that as likely now that Pocono's already happened. But Ty Gibbs only plus 67, Buescher's plus 44. I wouldn't say that they're safe, but they feel a lot better than Chastain, obviously. And Briscoe's minus 75. That's possible, but slim. But then Kyle Busch on down, you probably need to win a race. And I don't think Kyle Busch is winning a race.
I think Kyle Busch is done, I think.
Not if Corey LaJoie's on the same track.
Kind of done, period.
You know that graphic of Truex being I'm done. I'm done. I'm never doing this anymore. They needed that with Kyle Busch.
Right.
That's just Kyle Busch right now. He's done. But then if we look on the left side of this graphic here for our video watchers, Blaney is now the 5th driver with multiple wins this year. He's, as we said earlier, he's right there with the top 4 favorites for the championship 4. And when you add in those playoff points later for the regular season championship, it's going to change quite a bit here. And Tyler Reddick, I believe, is 3rd in points right now. So he's going to get quite a few points as well if he can stay that. But really interesting season so far, Zach.
Yeah, and one thing about Ross Chastain is before Nashville, he had a big streak of top 20 finishes. Like, he was doing a good job bringing the car home, but only 3 of them were top 10 finishes. So it's that one car is definitely lacking a little bit of speed. And again, if the 23 team can take advantage of that, come up with speed of their own, they have some good tracks coming up, like Richmond. They were very good at Richmond earlier in the year. If they can take advantage of a race like that, things look really good for the 23 team.
For sure. And we still have Daytona. That could be literally anyone. Harrison Burton still got a chance, y'all. Don't count him out.
Harrison Burton.
It's not over till he's on LinkedIn.
Or
exactly.
No, he's going to be. He gave the. We'll talk about him later. We'll talk about him. Or oh my god.
Talk about it now.
We'll talk
Harrison
about it now.
Burton.
He gave the invocation for the Xfinity race.
Oh,
and
he got a job.
So cute. It was low key hot. And
cut the cameras.
I'm just like, girl, he's not going to be unemployed next year. He's either going to be driving an Xfinity car or possibly a front row motorsports car, or he's going to be going, hallelujah, yeah, praise the Lord. He's going to be doing that.
No matter what, he'll be happy then.
He's going to have a job. He's going to have money. He's getting married. He's getting married to
That's true. He's
Jenna
engaged.
Petty, my girl Jenna Petty. So everything, life is good for Harrison Burton. Tell you what.
Well, you know who else's life is pretty good? Our Team Penske fans, because we're going to keep on rolling here. We're going to IndyCar at Iowa, which
sucked.
Did not have good races.
That was probably the worst. Not only was it the worst IndyCar race I've ever seen, it was the worst 2 IndyCar races I've ever seen.
But Zach, Team Penske won them both, and it wasn't Joseph Newgarden.
Oh, at Iowa. Yeah, so Joseph Newgarden must have swept the weekend, right?
No.
Both his
McLaughlin
teammates. Both his
Will
teammates.
Power. Yep.
A bonus, Ryan Blaney winning in NASCAR won on Iowa weekend.
Yep. Joseph Newgarden's just on vacation, man.
The plan?
The plan the plan is he's going to come back when IndyCar is back in their sleigh era. Because to be fair, we have that race sucks. Everyone knows it. And to be fair, IndyCar got bumped both days. It got bumped from network television for reasons. And honestly, thank God, because I'm glad no one had to see that. They would have not wanted to see that. Watching the news was probably more entertaining.
That it was.
Just to clarify, the second race was never actually bumped from NBC.
Oh, yeah.
They did warn that it was going to, but
yeah.
Anyway,
Joe
your
was a little
still
slow with
stands.
getting on the announcements. So
it was nap time.
It was nap time. So.
Or
maybe Joe Biden was watching the IndyCar race.
He's a Will Power fan, you know? Yeah. He and Roger go way back, you know?
I bet they do.
They probably do.
But yeah, this Iowa race sucked. Sorry. Zach, I'm glad we won a few years ago. When it was really good. We saw Jimmy Johnson making moves on the high side, like in an IndyCar race at Iowa. Like, that was really cool. And I will say, do we want to talk about why this race sucked, or I guess we'll save that for let's talk about it, because one, the track was repaved by NASCAR. I think that is one of the reasons, and because they repaved just the corners. The NASCAR race turned out to be okay.
Yeah, it essentially cut in half the width of the track that they could use, right?
Pretty much,
because you could kind of
similar
use
to Texas.
Yeah, it was similar to Texas that one year. Yeah. And it's just it's very frustrating that NASCAR comes into Iowa Speedway, a track that they left to die, right?
Yep.
And they come in, they repave it, but they don't even finish the job, which at that point, I'm just like, if you don't have enough time to finish the job, then don't do it. Because I feel like the Speedway, IndyCar raced fine there last year. Like, if there's parts of the track coming up, just patch it, right? Don't repave it until you're ready to repave the whole thing. Maybe they didn't know that when they started it. I don't know. So it's just like, to leave that track to die. IndyCar came in, kept the track going, had this huge high V weekend since since 2022? Yeah, since 2022 when we went, right? And then NASCAR comes in, ruins it, and IndyCar comes here, very important series to Iowa Speedway, and they can't race. They can't race. They could not race yesterday.
And the only reason Will Power won race 2 is because he did an overcut on Alex Palou. It was all on pit strategy, which that is cool, but it was not
even
a
then
good product at all.
Like, the tires were not wearing as much as they had in the past. Obviously, you'll get that with the repave, but they used to have to pit 4 times at Iowa, right? The tire strategy was very interesting. Doing an undercut, getting fresh rubber, right?
I remember
we saw it in
era.
person. Yeah. So it just really sucks, and it's very unfair to IndyCar because I mean, the stands for Sunday's race after what they saw
awful.
Saturday night, it probably doesn't help that the concerts were after the race. Like, both concerts were after the race, which is like, that doesn't really make sense. I guess
they probably sold all the tickets, but they weren't there until the concerts.
Yeah. So I mean, sleep in and miss a boring IndyCar race. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, why was it so early? After
Probably
the night
NBC.
before was a night race, I guess.
Probably NBC.
Just
because
bizarre.
Pocono starts at 2:30. That's probably why.
Yeah. But to go back to the racing product, Ed Carpenter, a team owner who was also in the race, he said after the race to several journalists that IndyCar should drop the hybrids, or he'd be in favor of dropping the hybrids for the rest of the season because they are paying more to produce worse racing. And quite frankly, I wouldn't care either way. But if it makes the ovals better, which is the lone shining point for IndyCar right now, if it would make those better when they desperately need some good news, that'd be great.
Yeah,
because this has just been a rough year for IndyCar.
This is part 2 of that whole, why did Iowa suck? Well, Ed Carpenter and other drivers kind of are thinking it's the hybrid units making the cars heavier. And also, that's kind of why Mid-Ohio sucked too, low-key, right?
And Carpenter said that he thinks that Gateway will be like this. He thinks Nashville is going to be like this, and Milwaukee
will 100% be like this.
Yeah. So that's frustrating. Iowa in part because of the repave, but he makes it sound like, and other drivers are telling him this because they've done tests at all these other tracks with the hybrids now, that's going to be just like Iowa. They're not going to be able to pass. And that is not good. IndyCar's already in a horrific position, if you ask me. I think it's a disaster.
This is the worst season ever.
I think they're bad. It's bad right now for them.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you, Brooke, you haven't watched in quite a while.
Yeah.
What would it take for IndyCar to get you back? I don't think right now they're Valtteri Bottas.
That's it.
No, honestly, it would have to take him or some other driver that I'm really excited about, and I only have a few drivers that I'm really excited about. Yeah. I only started watching IndyCar originally because of Montoya, so kind of when he left, I was like, but I had a new driver lined up. I started liking Pagenaud, and then Pagenaud did his time with Penske, super good, and then he started to fall off, and then he went to, I can't even think of the name, Meyershank, and now his career is kind of over. So at that point I was kind of like, oh, I don't really. And also I'm just not the product is just not there. The past couple of years, people are like, oh, IndyCar's where it's at. It's really good. But this year, maybe the year before too, it's oh, it's all right.
It's getting rough. I'd
just rather watch NASCAR.
Especially on a Sunday, as we're adults, we're working in the week now on a Sunday when, we want to spend it doing stuff we like. We don't have a lot of time. If NASCAR's on, if Formula One's on, even in the morning, it's I don't really want to watch an IndyCar race. I'm getting enough, man. And that's the thing about this hybrid unit, introducing it mid-season, which is, people were like, this is weird. Why introduce it mid-season? Well, they wanted to have it at St. Pete, but they weren't ready. And to be honest, I still don't think they were ready. And I understand, why they implemented it for marketing. And with that being said, it's not really a surprise to see it be a very negative effect on the racing, because they didn't implement it for the racing, obviously. Yeah. And now we're paying the price for it.
And Zach, we talked about this a long time ago now with J.R. Hildebrand when we had J.R. on episode 100. Yeah. If you want to go back and listen to that, he was talking about that. If we change things with like the marketing, you might end up getting worse racing. It might just have side effects.
He did say that.
We're kind of seeing that now.
He did say, I remember that. Oh my God.
So yeah, something. Check that one out. That was episode 100.
Yeah. But this is a perfect example of that. Because, and to be fair, I mean, because literally the hybrids are only making the racing worse. It's the cars are too heavy. Because they already added the aero screen onto this chassis that was designed.
And the aero screen is a necessity.
Season. Yeah, and the aero screen, I'm not saying, it's a necessity. But with adding the aero screen, adding now the hybrid unit, these cars are too heavy. They're not designed.
They just need a new car, a new chassis.
I guess. I don't know what they could do. Because I think even a proper hybrid unit would even be heavy. I don't know. Because it's IndyCar's identity, too, as an American open-wheel racing series that, it's historically on ovals. That's its birthplace, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This doesn't need a hybrid unit. I understand, Honda wants this, right? Honda wants us to have hybrid units. We want to be able to say that we're a hybrid series, that we're better for the earth, whatever. It just doesn't fit what IndyCar is right now. And you have to do it right if you're going to do it for IndyCar. It just doesn't make sense. We're not Formula One. We're IndyCar, right? NASCAR doesn't even have a hybrid yet, right? So it's like, do you really need a hybrid? Someone like Honda will say yes. But if you're a racing fan, which we are, we don't want this. It doesn't make a difference to the racing.
I think at a point, it is a necessity for the manufacturers. But they have to do it right. And right now, they're not doing it right. They're just doing it to say they have it to please Honda, it seems. But you're just pushing more and more fans away, which that's not going to make Honda happy either.
They should have waited,
as we've talked about before, has essentially threatened to leave the series if they don't.
And that's valuable too. Like, we need Honda, but
it's not good. It's not good.
It's a bad situation all around for everybody. Yeah, honestly.
And let's kind of talk about two more things with IndyCar, then we'll get into the T. There was a weird last lap crash in race 2 that I want to touch on.
Oh my God.
First of all, everyone's okay. Stingray Rob's okay. He went to the hospital afterward, just for precautionary measures, it sounds like. But everyone's okay. Kyle Kirkwood had a tire end up on his head at the end. It was very scary.
Again,
very
aero screen's a necessity.
Aero screen probably saved several lives here. It started when Rossi ran out of fuel, which Rossi runs out of fuel a lot, I feel like. Yeah.
I feel like that's his thing. Yeah.
I mean, he won the Indy 500
coasting. I was going to say, that's how he won his first race.
That's his signature move.
Yeah.
Running out of fuel.
Yeah. But he ran out on the last lap, and Rob didn't have enough time to react, runs into him, goes airborne. It's pretty scary. He got a lot of air. And it collected Kyle Kirkwood and Ed Carpenter. The race was over, and then all of a sudden they cut to a car upside down. I'm like, what happened? This was the most boring race ever. We end up with this. But
I was confused because I wasn't sure if they were on their final racing lap or if they were already on their cooldown lap, but I believe they were on their final racing lap.
Yeah.
So that it makes a lot more sense why they wreck. Because at first I'm like, if it's the cooldown lap, how are you wrecking? But no, and people were debating like Rossi should have gotten out of the racing line. But girl, he just ran out of fuel. Things happen fast at Iowa Speedway. It's the Bristol of IndyCar. Things happen fast, right? And you almost can't even blame Stingray Rob. Like, if there's anyone to blame, I guess you can blame him. But, he's trailing a car. It's Iowa. Half the track you're not able to use, right? He's in dirty air. It's hard to turn the car off the corner. So it's like, the closing rates are high. It's just an accident. It's a very scary accident. It looks like the car, like his Stingray's front wheels kind of caught the rear wheels of Rossi in it. I mean, it's kind of like those Hot Wheel like tracks. It just like it just flipped it up.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. And I think I remember like back in like 2012 when they introduced that new body that had like the rear wheel guards. I think those were designed to prevent that, but I think they ended up not working, so they got rid of them anyways. Hopefully they don't try to bring them back, because that's more dirty air. That's the last thing we need. But yeah.
So first of all, if you're following the championship still, Alex Palou is 35 points, I believe, ahead of Will Power.
You said if you still care about the championship.
I really don't.
Palou crashed on Saturday night. Palou crashed on Saturday night.
See, I was like, oh, maybe we're back. Maybe it's interesting. I can kind of watch, but then he nearly won the race on Sunday.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter too much. But, I think Will Power will give it a shot. But anyway, it was Lee Diffey's final IndyCar race. As far as we know, it sounds like at least it's been reported that he's going to be going to the NASCAR Cup Series after the Olympics, replacing Rick Allen. And what a lackluster last weekend for him to call IndyCar. He still gave it his all.
He still made it kind of exciting.
Fantastic call.
Yeah.
NBC was trying their best to make that race exciting, and especially Lee. And so much respect to Lee Diffey. He has made IndyCar so much more exciting at times than it probably actually was.
Oh yeah,
he's been a fantastic voice for the series. Mm-hmm. This is happening because, of course, Fox Sports is coming in next year, right? And I don't have much else to say, but thank you, Lee Diffey, for making this series so special, because I really think he elevated it to another level.
Will Buxton had a really good tweet, F1 media member, and he said, if yesterday was at Lee Diffey's last IndyCar call, he went out on a high. The series runs through his veins. He's been its loudest, most enthusiastic cheerleader and an undeniably key part of its growth. One of the best announcers on earth and a true friend. Proud of you, brother. And I 100% agree with that.
I agree.
The growth, I feel like IndyCar has grown since 2019 when NBC went full time and really got into IndyCar, at the Indy 500 especially. I just think he's been a great voice for IndyCar. As IndyCar fans, I think I've been very proud to have him call our series. I'm going to miss him. The rest of the season's going to really. Kevin Lee's pretty good too, right? He's great. It's just not the same as Lee Diffey. It really isn't. Yeah. And with the racing product, this last part of the season is going to be a drag, man. I'm telling you what. But if you do like Lee Diffey, the good news is for us, it's looking like he's going to call NASCAR on NBC in the playoffs ish.
Yep.
And then if you watch the Olympics, he's going to be calling track and field, and he absolutely lights that up. He lights it up. It's amazing. So, yeah.
Yep. It's going to be weird next year. I don't think Alan Bestwick's in the running for IndyCar and Fox, but we're not going to have Alan Bestwick or Lee Diffey calling the Indy 500 next year.
We're going to have Adam Alexander.
Or not. Well, we'll talk about that in the T.
Oh, true.
But, yeah, it's going to be very different. But moving into the T now, there was some pretty cool F1 news. Ralf Schumacher, a former F1 racer and brother to Michael Schumacher, he posted a picture with his boyfriend. We don't know if he's gay, bisexual, whatever. Yeah, he's pretty gay.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So congrats to him. That's got to be a lot.
That's a major race car driver. Maybe not currently, but that's a major racing driver.
Schumacher.
He's definitely known because of that name. Yeah.
That's like if this is a stupid comparison. That's like if Jeff Burton came out as gay.
Jeff Burton.
like a former NASCAR driver. That's maybe Jeff Burton's not a good example. That's like if Kyle Petty came out as gay. I don't know.
Sure, actually, that's a good.
I would slay if Kyle Petty came out as gay. Sure. That would be so slay.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, this has got to be a lot of pressure for Ralf Schumacher to come out as gay or bisexual. This is it's a big deal. It's a huge deal, not just for him, but the LGBTQ plus community. For someone as well known as such a big name as him to come out. that's got to be freeing for him. So congratulations to him. Very cool.
That's really cool. Cool to see. Hopefully, I hopefully we see more of it, because it's not even that we need more. It's just I just have a feeling that
it's just it's more normalizing.
Yes,
just more normalizing of it. Yeah.
Yes.
And next thing, we have some NASCAR tea. The rest of this is all NASCAR tea. Noah Gragson to Front Row Motorsports was confirmed. And Zach, you have a theory.
Well,
explain?
So Todd Gilliland will also be at Front Row Motorsports next year again. And they used to be teammates at Kyle Busch Motorsports, I believe, 2018, 2019? Maybe not 2019. I think this one, Harrison Burton joined them. So Harrison Burton as well used to be driving for Kyle Busch Motorsports in that same kind of 2018 era. And I'm just like, wouldn't it be really cool, since Front Row Motorsports will have 3 cars next year, if it was Harrison Burton, Noah Gragson, and Todd Gilliland? And they can all be besties. Even though Noah and Harrison had a little bit of a fight one time. But it's okay. Alex, we fight all the time on here. So,
besties fight all the time.
But I think legit, though, that would be I don't know if it'd be the best move for Front Row, because that's still like 3 pretty young drivers that have all never won in the Cup level. They probably need a veteran. But I'm just saying, if you're a Harrison Burton fan, I'd be hoping he gets that Front Row spot. And it's not a bad team.
Kyle Busch is like, please buy out my contract, please.
Look, Kyle Busch at Front Row would actually.
We're not going to see Kyle Busch next year.
Do you know something that we don't, Brooke?
Is that the master plan?
That the master plan? You sound like a media member. You won't be. You said no, Brooke. You sound like one of the guys on Door Bumper Clear when they say something kind of vague, like this colleague. You won't be seeing him in a colleague car next year or something.
He's not going to be in the garage anymore. And then they just all look at each other.
Like, I don't know.
They move on.
Freddie.
Yeah. So Denny Hamlin.
Oh my gosh, we have our.
My sources say the third driver of the Front Row car is in this call right now.
Many people are saying this.
Many people are saying this.
Many such cases.
Oh my gosh. Many people are also saying that Marty Smith could be a play-by-play commentator.
This
Marty,
is so
you know,
weird.
this guy that talks about Dale Earnhardt. I can't even do his voice. He's so
I don't like him.
I like him. He's cool. I respect him a lot for what he does. Right. I remember watching ESPN. Net was the show called NASCAR Now. The NASCAR show they had on ESPN, and he'd be talking to whoever the host is about the race, whatever. Great. I tweeted this weekend, the fact that Marty Smith could be a play-by-play commentator for something, for NASCAR, I guess. I don't even know what channel. I just don't see that at all. Like, that's not in his talent pool, I don't think. Yeah. Maybe it is, but I don't think it is. I don't see it.
I feel like he would be okay as like a pre and post race host person. Yeah.
He hosts a college football pre-show something.
Yeah, it sounds currently like he would be either with TNT or Amazon, or maybe they're going to share the booth for all of them, because Dale Jr. is going to be on both of them next year. It's just a random name. Like, I think it's cool that he'll be potentially with NASCAR more next year. I like his.
I think he should be
interviews.
With NASCAR. Yes.
I think he'd be a good get for like the documentaries that Amazon's going to make. Just be a person on one of those, like giving their thoughts on something. But play-by-play, I don't see it. Especially when people like Alan Bestwick are available. And I know Adam Alexander, we're talking about him in a minute, but he's also available.
I would like Adam Alexander more than Marty Smith.
I'm kind of hoping that this is just, maybe he's just going to be a host or something. But I don't know.
And I tweeted, I don't see what Marty Smith brings to a booth. And then everyone was mansplaining to me in the comments who Marty Smith is. And I'm like, I know who Marty Smith is. I know who he is. With that said, I don't think he should be in a booth. It'd be like a Vince Welch situation. It's
links to his Wikipedia page.
Just because you have a talent, and Marty Smith is a very talented reporter. Right, very talented media member. That does not mean he should be in a booth. I just want. Yeah, we just talked about how Lee Diffie did so much for IndyCar as a voice for IndyCar. With a brand new TV partner with TNT and Amazon coming in, you need a very strong voice to lead it. And maybe listen, if Marty Smith gets in the booth and does phenomenal, I will be the first one to be like, I was not familiar with your game. I will be the first one. So let me just make that clear.
And it's with more NASCAR TV media stuff for next year. Adam Alexander is the current favorite to call the CW Xfinity Series next year.
Well, okay.
Being the voice of the Xfinity Series.
I don't hate that.
I think it makes sense.
He's the voice of the Xfinity Series as it is now, so sure. Okay.
And I think with him, he commentates with different people every week during the Fox portion of the year, and he has really adapted to every, he has Joey Logano in there one week, Ryan Blaney, he has Keselowski, like someone different in there every single week, and he's adapted.
He's really good.
I think he's gotten better since he was in the Cup booth for TNT. I think this would be I'd be fine with this. I think he'd be even better if they gave him a solid team every week, the same two people in the booth with him.
I don't know. I enjoy the drivers.
You want the rotating booth?
I enjoy the drivers, to be honest. Unless you want to do it so it's like kind of what they used to do when it was Adam and Michael Waltrip and a rotating driver. I'm not saying get Michael Waltrip. I'm saying Adam Alexander, get some smart crew chief that's good on TV, and then have one rotating driver. That's a good balance between the two ideas. Because I love Ryan. But then again, Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano in the booth together is really good TV. So I don't know.
But they're not going to be able to do it every week.
Okay, so that makes it even more fun. I
think your idea, Fox will move to the truck series.
Girl, I'm not watching the truck series next year.
I think that's what's probably going to happen.
And they're side by side. Sorry.
It'll be Jamie Little with 2 Cup drivers every week, making it even harder.
It's going to be Jamie Little with Michael Waltrip and Phil Parsons. It's going to be the exact same.
Okay, we'll see.
And they're not going to be at the track.
Probably not. Then 2 more here. Steve Letarte and Jamie McMurray are among others who have talked to a variety of networks. Steve Letarte potentially leaving NBC would be huge.
It's like everyone's leaving NBC. Because also, where's Rick Allen going in all of this?
Because this article said that this could lead Rick Allen to leaving NBC. It didn't say what network he'd been talking to. Because as of right now, Rick Allen will be doing Xfinity races at once Lee Diffie takes over Cup.
Right.
So I would assume Rick Allen's going to go somewhere too.
We assumed Rick Allen will go to the CW, but that's not looking like that's going to happen now.
Yeah, that's what I thought was
So what does this mean? Does he go back to trucks? That'd be kind of cool. But it'd be kind of
cool.
He's done a pretty good job as, the lead Cup commentator for, the last decade of NASCAR Cup Series championship races. It'd be a little to get a demotion like that. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. But if Steve Letarte were to go to Amazon TNT and then that booth turns out to be like Rick Allen, Steve Letarte, Dale Jr.
That'd be
like really NBC's whole booth is gone except for Jeff Burton.
Oh, Jesus.
So then it's like you got to build a booth around Jeff Burton.
Yeah, NBC could cook if they have Lee Diffie and Jeff Burton. Who would they have to put with him? They'd have to put with like Jamie McMurray.
Jamie McMurray is the other name mentioned in this article. This is all by Adam Stern, by the way, Sports Business Journal. Maybe Jamie McMurray's talking to all of them apparently. So
why is NASCAR broadcasting silly season so interesting?
Everyone's contract ended at the same time.
The rotating.
Well, makes sense.
Door.
I don't know.
Revolving door.
Be interested to see what develops from it.
Me too. We'll keep following that. And with that, Zach, is it time for fantasy?
It is time for fantasy. I guess I should pull it up.
I don't have that pulled up either. And Brooke, after we make our picks, you can feel free to make a pick for Indianapolis and Toronto if you'd like as well.
There we are. All right. So I had a great weekend of fantasy. I got 5 points across the 2 series.
Yeah, you did.
Weekend. Great weekend. Oh my gosh. I don't want to hear you. I'm glad you're not complaining because you had literally so much success last year. I'm glad you're not complaining. So, all right. So we're doing NASCAR first.
I could, but yeah. Brickyard 400. Return of the Brickyard 400. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're a great friend, so you won't.
Exactly, Zach. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll let you have your moment. Okay. Brickyard 400 picks. You ready?
I am ready. All right. 3, 2, 1. I'm trying to pick Denny Hamlin, and Alex is also trying to pick Denny Hamlin.
Oh,
That's his name's actually Dennis. So like I'll take
James
him.
Dennis,
Thank you.
by the
All
way.
right,
Yeah.
Alex. Next.
Okay. All right.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1. I'm going to try to pick William Byron, and Alex is predictably going to pick Kyle Larson.
Predictably.
I thought about blocking you on him, but I feel confident in this William Byron pick, and I'll tell you why. He wins
Why is it gonna be boring?
big races.
Oh,
Daytona 500 this year. He won the Hendrick 40th anniversary. He showed a lot of speed at Pocono. Very similar track to Indianapolis. He hasn't won in a while, but I feel like he's got to win it at some point this season again. I think Byron's back. I think he's going to win the return of the Brickyard 400. Another huge win in his career that he probably didn't even earn, because probably Hamlin and Larson, I think, are going to take each other out.
Oh,
So-
I was hoping you'd pick Larson in the first round so we could just, obviously fight for first and second. I do think after Pocono, don't count out Ryan Blaney. I definitely think that's a possibility now. And low key, Brad
He wasn't on my
Keselowski.
Yeah.
Keselowski's
Brad
always really good
Keselowski
on the
was
oval
my
too.
list. Brad Keselowski. I put Brad on my list. I did not have Ryan Blaney on my list. I'm one of the haters.
You
Call
are.
me Jeff Gluck. I don't know who Ryan Blaney is. Oh my gosh.
Wow, you're just
All right, now-
ignoring the master plan.
Yep.
Yeah, whatever.
Damn.
See you in Phoenix.
See you in Phoenix, girl. All right.
Girl, see you in November.
That's a sensitive subject to me. All right.
All right. Next
Now we
up,
gotta
we're doing
make picks for
IndyCar Toronto. This race is only on Peacock, by the way. So
Is
I
it?
doubt
Again?
anyone will be watching it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. If it's not, sorry, but
Well,
no one's
the
gonna
race,
watch it.
the race is actually on Saturday because it's going to be a qualifying race. So
True.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I have my pick.
All right. I also have my pick. 3, 2, 1. Let me guess. We're going to match one Alex below, aren't we? Yeah, we have the same picture. Okay. All right. Well, that happened. All right. Gotta get my second pick. Let me double check my notepad. All right.
I got a picture.
Well, I'm glad you have a picture. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
All right.
Do you have one yet?
Girl, if you don't rush me, I forgot where the thing was. All right. I am ready. 3,
Okay.
2, 1. I'm trying to pick Scott Dixon,
Oh,
who's been very successful on road courses this year, or street courses
It's
rather.
loading. There.
And Alex is picking Will Power. Oh, thank you. Oh, I thought you were going to match me on Dixon.
I
know-
thought about it.
Will Power's been very good at street courses this year too, but
Yep.
Dixon's won 2 street course races. So I'm just like, yeah. Let's do
And
it.
if you follow our little championship, Zach, as he said, did get a bunch of points this weekend. NASCAR is 13-12. Zach's in the lead. IndyCar is 11-7. Zach's in the lead. You broke the tie in both of them. Good job.
I picked Scott McLaughlin to win Saturday night, and so that was good.
Yep. And with that, if you want to go back to us being big, Zach, for video,
Oh, I'm sorry. I zoned out.
you're so real for that.
The racing was so boring. I'm still zoning out. I'm just like, hopefully
but-
we have better racing next week, which I don't think we will.
But I'm excited for the Brickyard 400 to come
I-
back.
I
really am.
But again, it's still stock cars on a flat big oval. There's only so much you can do. I
Yeah.
think it's still going to be. Now, I will say I did kind of enjoy Pocono. The strategy at Pocono wasn't horrible. And it's the Brickyard 400. Whoever wins this race it's going to be a huge deal. Traditionally, we see, the big teams win this race. The big teams win this race. They bring their best stuff to this race. It's the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah.
But I
Well-
don't expect like Indy 500 levels of, racing.
Brooke, did you have any picks to make for the Brickyard 400 or IndyCar at Toronto?
Ryan Blaney.
Hey, that's enough out of you.
You've been silenced.
I've heard enough.
I'm not going to pick Ryan. I'm going to pick Brad. Red.
Oh.
Red.
Yep. And then for IndyCar, I'll pick Willpower. Stick with the Penske theme. Keep the Penske theme rolling, at least in IndyCar.
Tell you what.
Love it.
Now that I think about it, Brad Keselowski, the last 4 Brickyard 400s that were run, Brad Keselowski is the only one of those winners that still races.
Oh, wow.
Because it was Kevin Harvick winning twice, and then Casey Kane won in 2017. I think Kyle Busch won in 2016. He's certainly not winning. So.
No. He might actually DNF. Like,
he might
early.
Probably.
He crashed. Kyle Busch crashed in testing.
Oh, he did crash in the test. Yeah. We should bet. Who's going to wreck first, Corey LaJoie or Kyle Busch?
It's going to be another one. Both of them.
Both of them at the same time. In turn 2. It's always turn 2, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like when Jimmy wrecked off turn 2 that one year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Brooke, before we wrap up, Brooke, do you have any final farewells for our audience? Thank you for joining us, of course, as always. We have you every year.
Thank you for having me.
Do you want people to find you on social media?
You can find me on social media.
If you want.
If you're going to watch the video of this, it's right on the screen. And then if not, if you're just listening on Spotify or whatever, my @ on Twitter is @I am Brooke Curran, and Brooke with an E, and my last name is Curran.
I would hope it's a Brooke with an E.
You'd be surprised.
Oh my gosh.
Brooke. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Brooke. It's always so much fun.
Thank you for having me.
Our annual visit from the president of Blaney Nation. And with that, we do have a kind comment this week. This is funny. If you listen to last week's episode, Zach was giving a little Brad Doherty impression during the Chicago red flags.
Okay.
Jessica on YouTube said, "It was the red flag analysis for me. Plain and simple." What? You don't like it?
Wait, how is it about Brad Doherty?
That was your analysis. Was all about Brad Doherty's food.
It was the.
Anyway, Zach forgot. Anyway,
what?
You can
I'm
give us
so
5 stars
confused.
on Apple and Spotify. You can write a review on Apple. You can like and subscribe on YouTube. Support us on Patreon, patreon.com/gayracingpod. You can still. Zach forgot what happened a week ago. Yeah,
I don't remember. I really don't. Was it?
You don't remember
Brad Doherty talking during the red flag?
That's what you were doing. You impersonated him. Yes.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't there, apparently.
Zach was not here last week.
I haven't been here. Maybe I'm the guest, and Brooke's actually the actual person. I don't know.
You can still get 15% off your first purchase at Home Field Apparel with code GRP217. And you can follow us on socials at Gay Racing Pod. On TikTok, we're just around 400 followers, by the way, at Gay Racing Pod. You can follow Zach at Dreamy Zach Racing, me at Newgaden, and Brooke at I am Brooke Curran.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will see you guys next week to talk about the Brickyard 400 and the Toronto Grand Prix. Stay safe, take care, and we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.